Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to play the T110E4. We're going to have a look at it. We're going to talk about it and more because we have talked about it, or we've spoken about it before many times. But I've been playing it a lot. I've been coming up against it a lot. And oh my God, like how much one thing can change a tank. Like, it's crazy how one thing can change a tank so much. Now, for literally years, I've been calling, not just me, but a lot of people out there have been calling for the E4 to get some kind of buff. And the buff that everybody really wanted to see was the hatch on top. Now, the hatch has always been a really weak point with the tank because the tank itself is fantastic. Got a beautiful gun. Armor profile is pretty solid. I mean, it's not the best, but the turret is very strong. But it has that hatch that anybody in the game can penetrate. Literally, you come up against tier 9 mediums, they can penetrate it. So yeah, you couldn't really use the gun depression to its advantage. You couldn't go hold down. You couldn't do anything because it has that big hatch. Well, Wargaming decided to buff the hatch. Wargaming buffed the hatch, and it was a much needed buff because wow, that thing now is super strong. Now, it's not impenetrable. It's not as good as the T110E3 because a lot of you will shoot, it will look like you can penetrate it, you'll shoot it and it will bounce, but you switch to the premium rounds, then it does actually become a lot weaker, and a lot of people will be able to penetrate you with the premium rounds. However, with the T110E3, even with premium rounds, that hatch, unless you get a certain point of that hatch, you can't really penetrate it. But yeah, just that one little change, you know, it's nothing major. Yes, they buffed the hatch, but you can still penetrate that hatch. All you need to do, switch to premium, and you'll be able to penetrate it quite easily, even with a medium tank. But yeah, just one little change, and how much they've changed. It has changed the tank because it's always been a fantastic tank. In fact, one of my highest ever damage games was in the E4. It was my highest ever damage tank for a very long time before the Death Star, before I got the damage I did in the Death Star. But yeah, it's always been a great tank, but it's also been a little bit of a disappointment because the T30, which is the tier 9 version, was so good. It doesn't have that hatch. It was really strong. You know, it had the gun depression, it had the turret armor, it had the alpha. It was an absolute beast, or it is still an absolute beast that doesn't really get the limelight anymore. And then you know, you grind your way up to tier 10 and you get this. Some people, yeah, they liked the tank. It was good, but other people, it was like it was a downfall. Like it was a downfall with the T30, and then you go to this with where you're used to playing the T30 hold down. You know, you got a very strong turret, and then you play this that you couldn't really do anything because of that hatch. So yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment, to be fair, and it was so bad that you could actually swap. Like you could have put this in tier 9 and you could have put the T30 in tier 10. Like it was that good. The T30 was that good. But yeah, now Wargaming now buffed it. It has now made this tank really good. Like really good. So we're going to watch another replay here. And it will show you just how good. I mean, my replay there was decent enough, to be fair, but yeah, you can do anything in this tank now. You can go hold down. It does have a stronger hatch. It's not really a massive weak point anymore, unless people want to switch to the premium round. But to be fair, it's a premium round. They're gonna do less alpha. You can no longer sort of HE it. A lot of tanks, or like the bigger tanks, used to be able to HE it, but yeah, you can't really do that anymore. So just a little change was all this tank needed. You know, just that turret, just that hatch on top, just buff it a little bit. And as I've said before, I wasn't ever asking for it to be super OP armor on that hatch, just enough to put the enemy off, just enough that people think that they can penetrate on the hatch, and then you get a bounce. And that is something that you used to never ever be able to do in this tank. But other than that, it is still a fantastic tank. It's always been a fantastic tank, and this guy here driving it is going to show us just how fantastic this tank can be in the right hand. So far 640 for Alpha. There is a lot of choice around this side of the map, but he still has to be very careful because there's also a lot of tanks that are not spotted. So he's got the FE4005 there, the Sheridan, someone in front of him is shooting HE, and there's another person, as you can see, is getting some bounces. So he's going to go for the HE there. That was a very, very unfortunate miss on that FE4005. You know, it's a paper tank, and he shot HE. He could have done upwards of 1,000 damage to that guy, but sadly he did miss his shot, and that shot could potentially come back to haunt him later on, because that would have put that guy down to a one shot, but because he missed, he is still full hit points. Now, I love the fact that he's being very patient. He knows that there are tanks around here, and he doesn't really have that cover. I mean, look at the mini-map. He doesn't really have any cover around this side of the map. They are all around the sea area. So, having looked at that, the mediums could have potentially rushed him. When one medium decided to rush him, it was a bit too late. I mean, I wouldn't recommend rushing a tank destroyer like the E4 that has high alpha when you are a one-shot. Probably isn't the best of ideas. So far that is 2 tanks down. There are 3 tanks down for the green team and 2 for the enemy. So nice shot there on the Sheridan, but again, there is tanks all around, and there is an E4. So again, he is still on his own, so he's got to not push. He's got a, you know, I personally, I would have probably started backing up at this point, but I think it's now got to a stage he can't turn around. He can't turn around. If as soon as he turns around, because it hasn't got that speed, because if he turns around, he's just going to get absolutely annihilated. So he's going to stand his ground, and he is going to fight. So it's now a 2 versus 5. He is on 4.4k damage. Sheridan don't come out sideways. He does, but sadly he leaves him on 43 hit points. But he's still getting the blocked damage. That is now 880 block damage. So he's going to push. He's going to get the shot on the E4 to leave the Sheridan. Probably a good choice, to be fair. And now he finds himself all on his own against 4 tanks. All on his own against 4 tanks. When you're half hit points, this isn't the kind of situation that you want to be in. Now, someone like the Sheridan can spot him from a mile away. The Sheridan is a one-shot, so the Sheridan should actually be going from distance. He should be waiting for his team, and he should just be playing it very patient. But the first one available is the FE4005, and he does get a nice HE shot into him, bringing him now down to a one-shot. So he still needs some bounces. He does get a bounce, but yeah, if he wants to win this game, he's definitely going to have to bounce a little bit more. And now the Sheridan is pushing forward, so he gets behind. I mean, what was the Sheridan even thinking? Like, why would you do that? He has potentially just cost the game for the red team, but him doing that has allowed our guy to farm up a lot of damage. But still, he's basically a one-shot, two shot to the Kranwagen, maybe a one-shot to the E100, but these guys are quite healthy. They should be pushing together. They should be pushing. The Kranwagen should be pushing. As soon as he's got 3 shells, he should also be pushing. But yeah, he takes the shot. Why he's still running around, I do not know. But yeah, I just don't understand what these guys are doing. The E100, I don't know. I know he's a one-shot, but yeah, he really isn't doing any help just sitting behind. So another bounce there. Our guy is now on 9,200 damage. He is a one-shot, but he does manage to get the kill. And here comes the E100. He needs to run away. Can he get there in time? And the E100 missed. So at this point, he takes the long way round. I would have just reversed up a bit, but yeah, he's going to take the long way round. 9,600 damage, 4 kills. It's a 1 versus 1. Both of these guys are a one-shot. who is going to come off with the victory here. Whoever messes up, basically whoever messes up first, it is game over. So who is going to make that first push? Is it going to be the E100 or is it going to be our guy in the E4? And you can see our guy in the E4 definitely wants the win. He wants the win. He wants the kill. Yeah, and he's trying to push forward. Sadly, he does miss his shot. And now the E100 is coming in front of him. He needs a bounce. And the guy decides to use HE, and our guy gets the victory. Well played. Very, very well played. Did get a bit lucky, especially with that Sheridan ramming him and that E100 at the end there. But it just goes to show this tank, like how strong this tank can now be. 2,500 block damage, 9,600 damage. An absolutely insane tank right now. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'm Meadsy, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye-bye. With